The best deals are typically off market, so that's through your network.
Location, asset type. So is it retail? Is it industrial? Is it multifamily, etc.?
15 seconds times 1,000 deals in a year is actually normal. I want to take something that's like ugly, broken down, and I can repurpose it and make it a gem.
So not everyone can solve the problems that you can solve.
Send me stuff with major problems only I can fix, because that's where the returns are.
I move forward and make an offer, or I kill the deal, right?
How to filter, make offers on commercial real estate quickly. Should we move to tier one?
Yep. Let's do it.
Okay, so there are two ways to typically look at deals. Okay. One is you go out and look, right? You hop on Crexy, you start looking through stuff, right? Easy access online, it's there. The second one is you have like emails coming in. You sign up for like broker emails, you get those coming in. Okay. Okay. No, the best deals are typically off market, so that's through your network. Okay. But we're going to talk about what people mostly see, which is those two things, emails or Crexy. Okay. I don't filter those emails. I want to see the deals going. So in 10 seconds, I can keep a pulse on what's going on in my area, in my state, right? What things are popping up, what land, what buildings. I know who's developing, I know what's growing. So I have a finger on the pulse of the market. So I don't filter those. I actually let them come in. You could filter them into an inbox and then in your schedule pick, Fridays at 11 a.m. I'm going to spend a half an hour going through all the deals this week. Okay, you could do that. And you can set a time in your schedule to review Crexy deals, like once a week, once a month, whatever you want. Do it in a structured way. Here's my filter, right? How do you want to filter them? By cap rate, by how long they've been on market, whatever's important to you. Okay, so these are the funnels in the ways to create your funnels to look at deals, okay, to kind of get the reps. Again, network's the best, but this is what most people do and the easiest. Reed and I both have a tier one way we quickly screen each of these in 15, 20 seconds most of the time, sometimes up to a minute. But this is your quick buy box. Okay. Reed, do you want to cover the quick buy box that you're filtering emails, you're filtering things on Crexy just quickly?
Yep. Yeah. So first, location. We've kind of talked about the importance of location and market for real estate. The asset type that you're maybe looking at. So go ahead, Josh.
No, keep going. Keep going.
Were you going to say something about?
Nope,
Okay.
keep going.
So location, asset type. So is it retail? Is it industrial? Is it multifamily, etc.? The size, which really refers to the purchase price. If this isn't within something you can take down yourself, maybe you quick filter it out, unless if you have partners or something like that. But most of us have a size of deal that we're comfortable with. And then occupancy, so you kind of know where this deal currently sits. So those are the four things in the quick buy box.
100%, right? And in my brain, right, I am just educating myself, keeping a pulse on the market. At some points, I am like, hey, I have a buy box. These two asset classes I'm interested in, right? Let's say I got 1 million in cash, right? You usually got to put down 25%. So I know my buy box is around 4 million, or if it's two deals, 2 million, right? So I can quickly say, okay, is this a retail strip? Is this a townhome deal, right? Okay, a townhome for rent deal. Okay, is it between 2 and 4 million, right? You get too small, it's just not even worth your time, right? Because it takes the same amount of time to buy a $500,000 deal as it takes to buy a $10 million deal, right? So I don't want to be looking at small stuff and manage all that stuff. But you find that dollar amount, you have those asset classes, you look where it's at, right? Like I like to buy local when I can, unless it's a really good deal. And I have a sense like what neighborhood is that in, right? There are certain neighborhoods around here that just are not nice. And I am in a tier two market, right? 500,000 people. In tier two markets, you don't get fast gentrification. Okay. So like I know if a neighborhood's not nice, even if it's on the border of being nice, it might not be nice for another 15 years, right? And I don't have, that's too slow, right? So I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a cool neighborhood. Actually, this is a growing neighborhood. There's a lot of housing developments there, right? This is cool. And then occupancy. I like the more problems with the property, the better. If I can fix those problems, because that creates outsized returns. If I'm buying a property with a stabilized tenant, right? A respected stabilized tenant, like a coffee shop, like a regional coffee shop that everybody really likes, or a Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is a great example. Okay. So you pick like the strongest tenants that people like, Chick-fil-A, like great profitability, great mission, people eat food, people like chicken, right? It's like low risk. Those are going to cost a lot, and my profits are going to be the smallest, right? I know in my buy box, I ain't interested. Brokers reaching out to me all the time. Person, Josh, I know you do a lot of retail, you do a lot of this. Would you like one of these? I was like, no, send me stuff with major problems only I can fix, because that's where the returns are, right? And now they know my buy box. When they have something with a major problem that the ma and pa 65-year-old who don't want any problems, right? They can go sell those properties to them. Me, they bring the ones with problems, right? Good deals.
So, yep. So can you quick define maybe one or two problems that you're looking for that that you feel comfortable solving?
Yeah, I think I'd have to go to specific examples. Okay, so
Okay.
um,
I can
one
give a
would be
hypothetical one.
expiring leases. That's a simple one. Leases are expiring, right? Like a lot of people are worried about that. If I feel like I can fill it up with tenants who are gonna pay at or better rents, then I'm not worried about that, right? Another one is like listing the thing's almost empty or empty needs a full gut job, right? Like I have the cash to buy it, fix it up, rent it out, right? And if it's in a great location, high traffic, great rents, right? But it's a dingy building. Most people don't want to buy a dingy building, right? The only people who want to buy a dingy building is the people who do construction because they know they can make it nice, right? And so, like, that's a problem I
Yep.
can solve. Um, it's really when there's like you need like a business person who understands real estate, right? To solve these complex problems. Most people want a nice, beautiful package, a nice, beautiful Christmas box with a nice bow and sparkles, right? They're willing to pay good money for that. I don't want that, right? I want to take something that's like ugly, broken down, and I can repurpose it and make it a gem, and then it's worth a lot. And either I refi it or I sell it, right? And then 1031 in the next one because I don't want to pay those taxes.
So not everyone can solve the problems that you can solve. So most people probably can't. But I think the key distinction here is if you are able to and equipped to solve those problems, those are what you want to pursue. But also think about from a buyer perspective, more people are probably buying, or a lot of people are buying the properties with value add in mind. So this goes back to that same concept of if you buy a property or you're buying a property that has too high of rents already, the next person who is the next potential buyer is going to be like, no, thank you, right? Like, because they don't see any value. Everything's been squeezed and wrung out of that deal. And so there's nothing left for the next person. So
Yeah.
that's
If you want to buy a property and you want big returns, do it with someone who is active in real estate. Okay. If you want to buy a property and you want so-so in returns, you just want diversification, right? Okay, this return share will be about as good as the stock market over time or something like that. Okay. Then you're going to buy these lower risk assets with long, and this is when you go through your quick buy box due diligence, right? Is this a market where job growth and population growth are going? Okay, so let's say it's a Wendy's, right? Is Wendy's in a good financial decision place, right? So you look up Wendy's and you look up their rating, their credit rating. Yeah, Wendy's is okay. Their stock price is good. Their credit rating is good. Okay, and you think to yourself, are people still going to be buying Wendy's hamburgers in 10 years? Okay. You really need to ask yourself that. Like, get simple. Okay. And if they are going to buy hamburgers, you do think, and you look up their credit rating and it's still good. There's a couple different credit ratings. Just look it up on Google. It's super easy. And then you look at The location. Is the neighborhood nice or is it crappy, right? You want a neighborhood that's either nice or decent and getting better, right? And then you look at job growth and population growth. These are just checklist items that you gotta do. And these are kind of tier two, right? So you pop up an email, oh, Wendy's, low risk. I like Wendy's. You already knew all that stuff. And then you start diving into the neighborhood, like we talked about. We dive into market rates, right? The Wendy's is a QSR. That's what they call those, right? So like all the fast food restaurants, is Wendy's paying like an insane rent? Or are they paying kind of what all the other QSRs are paying, right? Because if Wendy's leaves, you got to bring someone else in. You got to bring a Taco Bell, right? You got to make sure your rent levels are where they need to be. Time on market. The longer a property's been on market, the more willing the seller is going to sell if they really want to sell, right? They're willing to negotiate, and then you can make money there. That's an easy way to make money, is to look at time on market. I look at the Google Street View, right? They do these nice, pretty pictures. I want the Google Street View. I want like the neighborhood around it. Like I just kind of cruise around in Google Street View. It gives me a feel for that neighborhood. Really, after you go through all this later on, you should fly out there and check it out. Okay, I've looked at properties. Oh, that's such a nice neighborhood. Oh my gosh, that's so nice. I fly down there. This neighborhood's super nice. My property's right here. And this is not a nice neighborhood. It's right across the freeway, right? And so even though when you look at like the demographics, the 3 mile, the 5 mile, they're so nice. You fly down and check it, we're on the other side of the railroad tracks. This is a terrible location, right? As far as neighborhood. That highway, I mean, it's a major barrier. It's the other side of the highway. So you have to fly there. Um, Rent roll. So how long is the lease, right? Is it 1 year? Is it 3 years? Is it 5 years? Like how much security do I have here? Is it triple net or not? Are they charging for triple nets? Older properties sometimes don't. Most of the newer ones do. Um, and then the lease guarantee. I mean, then we can get into legal. That's kind of like later on, right? But that is so important. Like, who is guaranteeing the lease and are they strong, right? I will tell you, if there's a place that you're going to get screwed because you did your due diligence, it's the lease guarantee. Because even if it seems good, diving with a fine tooth comb legally, you got to do that or you can get crushed, right? And then you do your simple pro forma. I have the same pro forma I built. On the top are all my checklist items, like what's the traffic, right? Can you take a left turn, right? You can always take a right turn into place, but can you take a left turn into your property? Often you can't. Is it at a stoplight? Those are great. What's the signage look like? You know, is there a street sign? Is there a monument sign? What's the signage look like? That's super important. What did it sell for before this person sold it, right? So I kind of know the story, right? Like, and I always ask that too. I ask the broker, what's the story here? Sometimes they'll tell me, sometimes they won't. Okay, so you have all those checklist items. Then I have my pro forma. My pro forma is a template. So I have like, if I were to buy this with like bank debt, like this is what my numbers would be. If I were to buy this seller financing, right? And what it was a hybrid of partial seller financing, partial bank. And then I have like my sensitivity analysis is already there too. You know, what if I increase?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have we, I think maybe, do we cut off from our quick buy box to our quick screen, right? Now we're getting more into the preliminary underwriting, which this is going to be where you're spending like 2 hours of time.
Uh,
I mean,
my
if you're going to start putting
simple pro forma, I see what you're saying there. Yes. Okay, Reed, thanks for keeping me honest. So, tier one, our first thing we do is our quick buy box, 15, 20 seconds, right? Those items you mentioned. Tier two is the quick screen. And what Reed's saying is I'm talking about the pro forma. How deep do you go into the pro forma? That might actually be tier three. So quick screen is just 5 to 10 minutes. You're just doing these simple things real quick to see, like, okay, this is interesting. How interesting? 5 to 10 minutes, that's all you want to commit. If you're going to find good deals, you got to look through at least 200, right? So Reed and I are showing you this is how you look through 200. Quick buy box and then
the
quick
funnel,
screen. You're funneling it down,
the
right?
funnel from the top down. Yeah.
200 to 5 that you're quick screening, right? Or 10 that you're quick screening
Yep.
out of those 200. Okay, Reed, good job. Okay, what happens after quick screen, Reed?
Then you're going to get into the preliminary underwriting where you're going to spend probably a couple hours actually digging into the financials and some of the other things. So this is what Josh was talking about, kind of his one-page underwriting sheet with some checklist items that he's going through, where he's going to break down sources, uses of funds, debt terms, as you were kind of highlighting. Sometimes you can negotiate seller financing. Sometimes it's only going to be bank financing. Sometimes it's going to be a hybrid of both. And so this is where you're starting to bake that into your underwriting a little bit. You have to start making some operating assumptions, especially rents, vacancy, expenses. So when Josh was talking about value add, right? This is where he's really digging into that pro forma of, okay, here's where rents are, but I believe when these leases expire, I can take them to here, right? So this is all getting baked into that so that you figure out what your return can possibly be. Also, you're going to throw in like, well, if I am going to lease up this property, how long will it take to lease up? So I have to account for vacancy until that point in time, or maybe tenant improvement dollars. Or this is kind of where you all start baking some of that in, so you really know where the numbers shake out to be, so you can figure out if this property is worth pursuing further, if it's worth making an offer on. So just a quick list the rest of these, right? Sensitivity analysis, tax depreciation, cost egg, figure out what the maximum purchase price you'd be willing to pay for this based on all of this. And then you need to make a decision. This is where you're like, either I move forward and make an offer or I kill the deal, right? And so at the end of this preliminary underwriting, this phase three, you should either make an offer or archive the deal. And we were talking about this earlier. Josh and I like to, when we spend this much time on a deal and you decide to archive it, meaning you're not going to make an offer, you want to make sure you save all of this and save your notes so that you can refer back to it later if you need to. Sometimes deals resurface. You make an offer at a certain price point, and the seller says no, and they come back to you 3 to 6 months later, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to renegotiate? Can we talk about price point here?" And then you can just pull all this back up, and you can get back to where you were before.
And I think the
So that
idea here too, yeah, keep going.
no, that pretty much covers that gets you to making an offer point. And so I just want to make sure I give you time to talk on that a little bit before we do the final tier four, which is the full due diligence.
Yeah, I mean, you have a standard offer sheet that you've created, right, based off of some other offer sheets that you've seen and seen online, right? And you have like your how many days due diligence, right? Your amount of money you offer. So like look, typically I'll put down like depending on the size of the property, like 10, 20 grand, right? So they know I'm serious. Maybe it's a big property, 50 grand, 100 grand. And then that money doesn't go hard. Like it's refundable for like 45 days or something, right? Maybe 60 days. And then I have like a bank contingency in there. So like I got to be able to get financing too, right? So typically I have an out for depending on the product, let's say 60 to 90 days. But after 60 to 90 days, like they've given me time, right? They've said no to all these other offers, right? After that, my money goes hard and I need to close or I need to lose my money. So you just have an LOI built out based off of your preferences there. We can do a whole episode on that. And that's what the offer looks like. And they'll come send it back, negotiate on a couple points. Instead of 60 days, they want 45 days, right? Or yeah, something like that. So.
And that's when it's going to start getting actually, you'll eventually get a true purchase sale agreement, which is definitely more information and in greater depth that's going to specify more terms and stuff around the sale. So basically, what I always kind of tell people, if you make like a non-binding LOI, right, on a property, like that's just basically saying like, hey, this is what I'm willing to pay based on these terms. Like it'll give you a first quick sniff test whether the seller is amendable to that purchase price or if it just opens up the dialogue around price and terms for that specific property. So you want to get to that point and get an offer in. Too many people never make an offer and therefore the deal just slips away and then you're back to square one again. So I'm always trying to encourage people to hurry up and get to that point where you can make an offer as fast as possible if you think that it's a worthy deal.
100%. I do want to briefly, and then the last one is full due diligence. Okay. And this usually takes, it really takes 40 hours. it's weird. There's so many things that pop up, right? Maybe 20 if you're a smaller, simple property, but like the more complex it is, multifamily remodels like Reed does, it's definitely 40 hours. Um, but 20 to 40 hours on full due diligence after you get an accepted offer. And we'll go on another episode diving into all the parts of full due diligence. Reed, the one piece I did want to make sure people understand is time. I want to add this. When someone would say to me, "Oh, I look at like 1,000 deals, we only pick the best," right? I'd be like, "Yeah, you're full of shit." But this is how it works, okay? So if Reed and I are spending an average of 15 seconds looking at 1,000 deals, okay, that fly into our inbox or currency, 15 seconds times 1,000 deals in a year is actually normal. That only takes us 4 hours the whole year to look at those 1,000, okay? That's tier one. Tier two, we're doing our 5 to 10 minute quick screen at, about 10, 12 minutes a deal. If we take 20 of those deals that look interesting to us, okay, 10, 12 minutes, that's about another 4 hours. Okay, maybe it's 8 hours if you're looking at 40. Okay. So let's call that 8 hours if you look at 40 a little more deeply. And then if we actually decide out of those 40, here are the 1 out of 10 that are actually interesting. And we spend a couple hours on those four out of those 40, that's 8 hours. Okay. So 4 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours. And then we finally are committing to the 40-hour commitment of due diligence on that last one, right? So really our funnel is 4 hours, 4, 8, 8. So that's 20 hours to funnel 1,000 properties to the one that you've made an offer and has been accepted. So you're looking at about at least 20 hours to find one over the year, but we're doing it efficiently. We're doing it with a framework. And then you really dived in and you can't skip that due diligence at the end. That makes all the difference.
Well, so carry that off though. So how many deals do we get to the bottom of the funnel that you're spending 40 hours of due diligence on? That's a week's worth of work, right? On a single property that may or may not pan out. Say there's another, 10 deals there or something. You're talking about that's less than a deal a month that you're getting into due diligence on. If you're doing high volume of deals. So then you have another 10 weeks worth of work on top of that.
There's
Yes, it's
nothing more
efficient. It just
there's
depends on how
nothing
many
more
deals.
painful than putting in 40 hours. There are things more painful. It is very painful to put in 40 hours of work and at the end have the deal fall apart, right? Because it wasn't just the
You
40
get you get
hours, it was the 1,000 deals you looked at prior to those 40 hours plus the 40 hours. It's just a huge opportunity cost of your time,
yes.
right?
Hmm.
So when people say, "Hey, they send me a deal," right? "Hey, could you take a look at this for me?" Okay. I'm always happy to help people, right? But the time involved to actually dive into a deal is 40 hours, right?
Hmm.
So are they asking me for the 15-second quick look? Well, I need to know their buy box, right? If I don't know their buy box, I don't know about the 15-second. The quick screen is what I end up typically doing, right? I try to understand what they're going for, right? And then I hop on Google Maps on the address. I get a feel for the property. Is what they're going for aligning with what they're sending me,
Hmm.
right? That's typically we go. But really, I think the best thing to do is, ask people to put together their buy box. Ask them if it fits their buy box. Ask them to quick screen it, right? Run through the quick screening on it. And once they do that for themselves, then it's much easier to have a chat about like underwriting and diving deep because folks can screen out with the quick box and the quick screen. So I think that's probably going to be what I'm going to do is give these tools to people, have them put in the 10, 15 minutes. And then if it aligns and matches, like happy to chat, happy to help. But if you don't know what you want, it's hard for me to tell you, is this a good deal for you? Right? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. No, that's good. I say the same things. Basically, I'm always kind of turning it back. Tell me what you like about this deal. Like why is it that you're interested in this deal? Oh, I like the market, I like the tenant, blah blah. So it just gives me a starting point too. And then I say, okay, so what price point does it make sense for you to make an offer at? And they're like, I think this. I'm like, make an offer then. If you make an offer and it gets accepted, I'll help you with the next step, right? Which
Yeah.
is you already got at the purchase. I'll start guiding you a little bit on things to look out for.
Yeah, and if I relate to dentistry, somebody says to me, like, this is a good question in dentistry. Hey, are veneers awesome? I'll be like, it's like a hard question to ask. It's like, well, I mean, are you a professional like caramel apple bobber? Because probably not, right? Every time you go for a caramel apple, you're going to rip off like six veneers, right? So you just need to understand what people want, right? And that only they can do. So
Yeah.
I think
The
the
goal
take home,
behind the intention.
yeah, the take home for you listeners is build your buy box. Get clear on what you're looking for, right? Based off of the things we shared today.
Mhm.
Okay. Come up with your own quick screen model, right? And you can do those things, right? And I'm happy to help you sort those too if you have questions about those. But once you've gone through all that, like Reed says, make an offer. And if they come back with like a yes, and then you're like, oh crap, like I'm under contract now. It's not hard, right? You still got 45 to 60 days before your money comes hard. You can always back out, but now if you're under contract, now this is real, right? You've
Mhm.
invested the time to know this is something that you could possibly want. And then Reed and I are like, we want to support you, and like, okay, great. Let's figure out if this is something you really want. Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
It gets real quick and then it kind of sharpens your focus because you're like, I'm gonna see if this will work. Like you actually have it in your hands. It's just a matter of if you still want it at the end of due diligence. So
Happy to do that. All
yeah.
right. Well, that was how to filter and make offers on real estate quickly. Thanks for tuning in today. That's a wrap.